right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the definitive top 10 by Save Point Vids, where we bring to you our personalized top 10 list of whatever it is that we want to talk about in video games, and then we combine it for your enjoyment into the definitive top 10. Today's episode is going to be the top 10 moments in video games. I do remind you, because I've gotten a few comments about this, these are personalized lists. These are not going on anything other than the games that we've played and what it means to us in terms of like past episodes. So today's list, I can probably
assure complaining.
They're just like, well, that's not a top RPG or that's not a top shooter. And again, these are personalized. These are
Don't cry about it.
It's not that we're just going to Metacritic and picking out the top 10 rated shooters on, first-person shooters. That's not what this list is about. That would be very boring and redundant. Mm-hmm. So this is our personalized list about...
Make your own podcast. Make your own top 10 list.
So today's episode, though, I don't know if I said it, is going to be top 10 gaming moments. That can be... memorable, sad moments, happy, whatever it is. There's no parameters, just whatever top 10 moments that you guys wanted to bring to the table. But before we get into that, I wanted to remind you that you can find us here at youtube.com/SavePointVids. If you find this episode entertaining and informative, please give it a thumbs up. Consider hitting the subscribe button. And most importantly, tell a friend. If you don't want to look at us, you can find us on all major podcast platforms. You just have to search for the Save Point Vids podcast. There, if you could give us a thumbs up, 5 stars, 10 out of 10, a high five, whatever the rating system is, we definitely appreciate all the love and support. Now that that's out of the way, who wants to go first?
I will.
Okay.
Oh, there it is.
So my number 10 is it's killing / encountering your first Colossus in Shadow of the Colossus.
Okay.
I don't think that there was before that game. That was a PS2 game, right?
Mm-hmm. Original.
I don't think there was something on that scale before. Like an enemy that you had to battle that was 10 stories tall.
Maybe not. The only thing that I can think of around that time frame would have been God of War. But what sticks out to me about Shadow of the Colossus is that the only enemies in the game
were the Colossus.
Were the 10 Colossus.
Was it Colossi?
Yeah.
Colossuses.
The 10 Colossuses. But yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, and each one was they were super unique.
Each one was its own platformer.
It was like a puzzle platform.
You had to figure out how to scale them, where to hit them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I remember they had hair on them. And the hair, at the time, the hair looked so good. You could climb up and grab the hair.
You guys haven't played. See, I never played the original PS2 one.
Really?
I did play the remake. It came out on PS4
I didn't play
last
that
year.
one.
I think
it must have been the original one that I played. I don't have a PS4.
But yeah, it's good. I don't know if it still had the same impact as if I would have played it 2005. I think it came out.
Right. At the time, though, that was one of my favorite games.
Yeah. All right. What's your number 10?
Kratos pulling off Helios's head.
All right.
That was God of War 3, right?
Yeah.
What a badass!
Yeah, he tore off the head of a god.
Remember, you would his skin stretched, and he was screaming and was it you had to mash the button?
Yeah.
It wasn't just a cutscene.
No, you had to
you saw
his tendons or whatever. Yeah, that was badass.
It's just the epitome of Kratos' badassness.
Yeah, I agree. All right, my number 10 is Resident Evil 2, because I don't really remember playing the original, but the first time that you are going through the police station, and it's not the dogs that was in the original, but the first time that you're walking through, and I'm not explaining this very well, but the arms, do you remember the arms that pop out
through the windows?
Yes. It was basically the mirror of the original where the dogs pop through the window, but since I didn't play that one, this was my first experience with that. I remember playing it. It was me. You might have been there. I know Leo was there for sure. But yeah, we played it at night. It must have been a weekend or something. And yeah, the first time that happened, that was the first time that I was really terrified.
Yeah, those Resident Evil games scared the shit out of me.
It's because of the fixed camera.
It's the fixed camera.
You feel like you have less control than like you do when it's like over the shoulder.
It's really good game design when you think about it. Mm-hmm. Especially for horror games when you kind of you strip the overpoweredness and the control from the player.
Right. All right, that's my number 10. What's your number 9?
This could go for any of the Zelda games, but especially Ocarina of Time getting the Master Sword.
Okay.
I remember playing it, and I felt like I was playing it for so long. And this goes for Link to the Past as well. And then you get the Master Sword, and all of a sudden you're like only a quarter of the way through the game, you know?
Well,
it did always seem like, I finally got the Master Sword.
Like I'm getting close to the
journey. And like Link to the Past, I remember I played it not too long ago on the SNES Classic. Mm-hmm. And like I got the Master Sword in like an hour and a half. And I was like, man.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, man, this really didn't take that long.
See, when we were little, I feel like it probably took us like
forever.
Dozens of hours just to get to that point.
Yeah.
I beat the whole game in like 2 days.
Yeah. And also about like Ocarina of Times, like when you get it and the time changes and you're grown up Hyrule's like all in disarray and shit.
It's all destroyed and you think Kid Link, Young Link, that's how you're going to be the entire game, and then you're grown up and then everything's destroyed. You know, the Ganon's castle is where Hyrule Castle used to be. Everybody in town's a zombie.
I don't remember if they had something like that in Wind Waker. Did they?
No, I mean, you go down
like twice.
Mild spoilers. You go down below the sea and like,
oh, that's right.
Everything's frozen in time. And then like you get the Master Sword and everything like unfreezes and you have to kill a bunch of enemies to get out of the castle. But that's about it.
I remember that. Yeah.
All right. What is your number 8?
9.
Suikoden 2.
Joey, I don't know how to say it. Killing Annabelle.
Yeah, what a bastard.
I mean, it's probably not like a super iconic moment, but it's just because you think he's going to be with you the entire game.
Right.
And then you find out he betrayed you, and then he leaves your party, and from that point on, he pretty much becomes one of the main antagonists of the game.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really...
But you expect him to be...
Well, he's like friend.
Yeah, he's like your best friend. You don't start the game by yourself. You started with you and him. And so you think like, oh, he's going to be with you the entire... You have like a combo, unite attack. And like, so you think...
Yeah, he's ride or die.
Yeah. And he's not.
That's actually a good pick. I like that a lot. My number 9 is the end of the first season of The Walking Dead.
Haven't played it.
I played all I played was the first season.
So don't spoil too much for me because I do plan on playing that.
Well, you can't really talk about it.
So okay, I won't spoil it. I'll say that the journey that you take as Lee with Clementine, this girl that through obviously circumstances beyond your control, she basically becomes like a surrogate daughter to you. But you build it up over 10 hours or so.
He was a criminal, right? He was on his way to prison when the game starts.
He was on his way to prison, I think, this is the very first scene. So
I remember somebody playing. I remember that.
And then you get into like a car crash.
Yeah.
Or
So he's in the back of a police cruiser for murdering his wife or raping his wife or something along those lines.
What a douche.
And
it's the apocalypse, man.
Things happen.
Shit get dicey, man. It's dicey.
It's the apocalypse, and pretty much when zombies take over the world, all is forgiven.
And so,
everything in your previous life is forgiven.
This game is all about him being this terrible character, finding redemption through taking care of this little girl that's been entrusted to him, or that
I'll have to see that for myself. He sounds like an asshole, so we'll see.
You grow to like him.
So
and then the ending is
which I won't spoil, but let's just say that it's very It is very powerful, and it's stuck with me years and years. And I've loved a lot, not everything, but I've loved a lot of what Telltale's done since then. But that to me,
that was their big break.
They hit a home run.
How many seasons are there?
Four.
I only played the first one.
There's season 1, 2, 500 Days, which is like a side story.
Yeah,
because it has the side story of the black lady with the.
So I got all the content on the Game Pass, including the side stories.
And then the new one just wrapped up this year.
Okay.
So I mean, I've played them all, and I've played like the Game of Thrones, and
I've only played the first season of Game of Thrones.
I got into like the third season.
I don't think
second or third season.
I thought they did because like the first one it ends.
It has like 5 chapters or seasons.
With spoilers, it ends with
5 episodes.
Ramsey killing the dude who you think you're going to control.
Right.
And then
fucking Ramsey
Bolton.
Oh, I played a little bit of the second season because I remember being in Essos in the second season. Like, maybe I just meeting Daenerys.
I really like, so after The Walking Dead, my next favorite Telltale was actually Batman. The season 1 of Batman. Season 2 was okay.
What's that called? Because I got a couple of Batman.
I think it's just Telltale's the Batman or something.
Okay, I got a few Batman games also. I know Arkham Knight's on Game Pass, and I've been wanting to play those games.
I've never
played any of the Arkham games.
The Arkham games are really
I played
good.
the first Arkham Asylum, maybe about halfway through, but I never finished it.
Very good. That's my favorite of the 4.
Okay.
There's Arkham Asylum, Arkham
City, like the beginnings
Arkham
or
Knight,
something,
and then Origins.
Yeah,
Arkham Origins. But anyway, so yeah, I won't spoil it, but the end of The Walking Dead season 1 is definitely up there, and for those that have played it, you guys know why. All right, what's your number 8?
The beginning of The Last of Us. It's not really a spoiler. It happens right in the beginning. But when Joel. It's the first. I think it's the first outbreak, right? And they're escaping.
It's literally the very
and you don't even know what's going on. It's like the way they set it up is super creepy.
You're controlling it, and everything's from the perspective of his daughter.
Yeah, you start out as his daughter, and like you hear like sirens in the background, like people shouting,
right?
And you don't really know what's going on.
Like, you get into a car crash, and then you have to like run, and then her uncle like stays behind to like hold them off while you get.
They put you like right in the middle of it, of like how it would actually feel, like the actual like confusion of like a situation like that, because you really don't know what the game's about, but you don't really know what's going on.
Right.
And they do a good job of like the atmosphere on that, and then like when she catches up to her dad. And,
right. Well, the thing with that
you know what happens when that happens.
In the preview cycle leading up to that game, nobody knew that part. Mm-hmm. Everybody had seen.
Like the zombie thing. I forget what they're actually called.
The clickers.
Clickers, yeah.
Nobody had seen the actual beginning.
Right.
And so, yeah, to open the game up and then actually have to be able to play it.
Right.
And then spoilers for The Last of Us.
But they let you know that it was going to be like Joel and a little girl, so they like led you to believe it was his daughter.
Right.
Yeah. Something along those lines.
It was always like you always saw Joel and a small girl in the gameplay, but you start out as a small girl, so you kind of assume it's going to be her, and then
it's going to be like Joel and his daughter trying to survive it or something.
Man,
she becomes.
But yeah, the end of that opening scene where spoilers, they're trying to escape. They get stopped by some government agency. And she
got blasted, man.
She got nuked.
and then you think Joel might, and then the uncle comes out of nowhere.
Right. This is like a perfect way to open up a game.
And then it cuts to black.
Way to open up a perfect game.
And then it cuts to black, and then it's 20 years later.
Right.
And then you wake up, and Joel's like this fucking disheveled, disgruntled, like
battle-hardened man.
Cold, battle-hardened.
Man, that's I am so excited for the second one.
Yeah,
like
Naughty Dog, they're master storytellers.
Best developers in the business, in my opinion.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. I would say there's others that are close, but I think Naughty Dog.
I think it's between them and like a small handful of others, like Rockstar,
CD Projekt Red.
Yeah,
I dig them.
Maybe we'll do top 10 developers next. What's your number 8?
8.
Final Fantasy VI, The World Destruction.
All right.
I'll put that in quotes. I use that word very loosely. But yeah, I mean, it's just like you think that you're gonna save the world,
right?
And then
that's the trope, man.
Then the world gets destroyed. And then they play to that,
right?
That trope. Because like in every Final Fantasy, you save the world, but in this one, like you let the world get destroyed, and then
that's the thing. The world gets destroyed, and that's like
destroyed. I use it
right, and then it's half the game. I mean, you're at the halfway point,
right? And then you have to like escape this floating island. And the first time I played it, I didn't know this, so I missed out on getting Shadow.
Yeah,
because you got to wait until the timer runs out at the very end of it, and then he comes. But I didn't know that, so I didn't find that out till later.
I don't think I ever got Shadow.
And then like
all my playthroughs,
it's like a small time skip afterwards, and everybody's scattered across the world, and like
it's like when Thanos like snapped his fingers,
like civilizations, like all like the towns are like destroyed and like starving, and like the world used to be green, but now it's like all like yellow and decaying and brown. So,
God, that'd be great if they remade 6.
I want them to do it in the Octopath engine.
That would be cool.
I don't want them to do it in 3D. I don't need all that.
No, that's what I want to make. But just like
if they do, I don't want it to be like the Final Fantasy 3 remake or Final Fantasy 4,
right?
With that like
that
crappy
chibi art style,
crappy like 3D,
right? My next
do it, like,
one
7 or like
either do it
or like enhanced sprites and stuff like that. But
exactly. My next one is actually the ending of BioShock Infinite.
Never played it. I don't plan on playing it, so you can spoil away.
All right. So the way that you beat this game, and the ending cutscene is basically it takes you through this like time war. I still don't think I understand it completely.
The BioShock's game, they're kind of, I wouldn't say they're confusing, but there's a very layered. There's a lot going on there.
It basically just connects you. So at this point, let me back up. At this point, we didn't know that BioShock Infinite and the original BioShock had anything to do with each other.
Right.
There was no hints about that throughout the playthrough. There was no connection other than the name of the game being the same. All the characters were different. Everything was different.
Took place in the sky, right?
Took place in the sky in Colombia, where obviously the original was in Rapture. But yeah, there was no connection to the original up until you beat it. And it turns out, if I interpret it correctly, that basically it's like a multiverse. And so you go through like this time thing and you see all of these different lighthouses from the first one. In each lighthouse, you see them like dotted all over the horizon. And each lighthouse is like a different version of events that could occur.
That's crazy.
And it's like...
So that's why it's called Infinite.
Yes. And so it's like, yeah. And so it's...
It hurts my brain.
So you go through, and then you actually, through a significant portion of the ending, you actually go through the original Rapture done in the upgraded like BioShock engine, which looks amazing, or at the time it did. But then it's like telling you that like everything is connected, and there are lighthouses, and there's like butterfly effect I think plays something in there somewhere.
Yeah, this is like confusing.
But I had someone that played the original and 2 and then Infinite, the way that it all connected, it just like it blew me away.
Yeah, I beat the first one and I played the second one, but I never got around to Infinite.
So, but anyway, that's my number 8.
7, Red Dead Redemption 1, the first time that you go to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's a good one.
Yeah. I forget what song they played. It was some song. And there's not much to it. You're just riding your horse.
You're literally just riding through.
But it makes you feel so badass. It's so like spaghetti western. It puts you like right in that moment. And it's just cool. I've never like... I don't think like something like that was like really done before, where they put like an actual like musical singing soundtrack to like just...
Yeah, I don't know if it has, but it was definitely one of the most memorable.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're riding through the ridge, and you go down, and you cross the river, and then you're into Mexico.
You just feel like you're doing something, like, really badass, you know?
Very cool.
So it's very cool.
All right, what's your next one?
Resident
7.
Evil, the original game.
Okay.
The dogs bursting through the windows.
So yours is with the dogs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like
I think that was like the first real video game jump scare that I had.
it was. I think it was like the
piss out of me.
Yeah, it was just scary. Like you're just going through. You don't hear any zombies or like see any zombies. I can't remember if this is before or after you encounter your first zombie. No, I'm pretty sure it's after because you go through the same hallway, encounter your first zombie, and then you go back, and then you get past the windows, and you think you're safe. Yeah, and then you get past the windows
because you didn't have nothing happen the first time,
and then they just jump through, and it's scared the bejeebus out of me.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Yeah, that is a really good one. I remember playing that, and I guess I still could have put on my list. I remember playing that on the GameCube, but I don't remember playing it on the original PlayStation.
I remember playing on the original PlayStation. I remember watching Leo play it though.
Maybe that was it. All right, my next one.
And even watching it scared me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was the first time that I remember interacting with a video game that like scared you.
Yeah. I'll say another game that scared me that's even older than that and I just watched people play was Doom. I don't know why, but Doom used to scare the crap out of me.
That's funny. My next one is the ending to Journey.
Never played it.
Dude.
Is that the one where it's like in a desert?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically you start the game. There's no dialogue at all. There's multiplayer, but it's just people that
don't you just like see them, but you can't like interact with them,
come across or something.
And so it's just people that randomly pop up into your game, and you don't know who they are until the very end, where you actually get a list of their like usernames, their PSN names, that can help you, proceed, get to the next part of the world or whatever.
Kind of like Dark Souls, like how people can like leave stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But the ending specifically, so when you start the game, you start it and there's this like shining beacon light on this mountain way off in the distance, and the game doesn't open up and tell you that's where you need to go. But obviously if you played video games before, that's where you need to go.
Right.
So but that's all that you're given. And so it's just you to figure out.
Is there any puzzles in?
Yeah, there's very light puzzles.
So what's the gameplay like? Is there fighting?
It's almost like there's puzzles, but it's almost like a walking sim in that regard. But there's
kind of like that one where
flower,
like the feather,
which is actually
you control the feather floating through.
Which is I was thinking about that. That's not flower, is it? Is that flower? I think that is flower.
If it's called flower, the one I'm thinking of, you just kind of float along.
Yeah.
They're by the same company. Game company is the name of the actual game development. So it's very open to interpretation, but the ending specifically, spoilers for Journey, they actually had a new game that just released on iPad that is supposed to be really, really good. So and the game is really only like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
And so you're supposed to beat it in one sitting to like go on this journey. When I remember doing it, I remember playing it opening night and sitting down and playing it all the way through. And obviously the only thing that is that you got to get to that light.
Yeah.
And so the mechanic is that the longer your scarf is, you're wearing this red scarf, the faster you're able to move. As the scarf gets slower, as the scarf gets shorter, you become slower and your moves or your mechanics become you just end up moving slower throughout the environment. Your whole point is to get to this end, this light. And the game, and so you're climbing up the mountain. You go from the desert to like underwater, and then you start climbing up this mountain. It starts snowing. The wind is blowing sideways, and you're going, and the scarf is getting shorter. Every step seems to like take so much out of you, and the game actually ends, and you don't actually reach the light, so you have no idea what's there. And so, it's so devious.
That is devious.
And so you end up.
I feel like I'm cheated right now.
You end up dying
just listening
before you get to the beacon, whatever it is that was supposed to be there. And so it's open to interpretation, whether it's like,
I have a love-hate relationship with ambiguous endings.
yeah, and so it's very ambiguous. So it's like, some people have described it as like it's a metaphor for like the meaning of life. And, and so there's all kinds of theory, fan theories out there. But yeah, so you're climbing, you actually collapse, and you think somebody's going to come save me, or you're going to get up and find your second wind.
And then like the credits roll.
And the game it's just done. And so you never actually you see it right there, but you never actually get to that, like, that, yeah. And so I remember that game, like that, the ending specifically stuck with me. Fantastic game.
That's dirty.
So, all right, what's your next one?
Resident Evil Dogs.
Resident Evil Dogs?
Yeah.
So that was number 7?
That was my number 6.
6?
Yeah.
So. Okay. All right. So what's your next one?
My number 6, in the same vein as Sean's number 7, is the Metal Gear Solid 3 ladder climb.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's just this long ladder, and you just start climbing it. I think it's right after you beat the Fury.
That sounds right.
And it's a ladder like that leads right into Groznygrad. And as you get higher and higher on the ladder, the music starts to it fades in and it starts to pick up. And it's the Snake Eater song, which is like my favorite Metal Gear song.
Theme.
And then it just gets louder and louder, and that you're like halfway through and you're about to enter the enemy base, and that things are about to go crazy.
Yeah. I've been playing a lot of Metal Gear Solid 5.
It's just it turns it's just a genius move, because it turns something that would be otherwise just very boring, just climbing this ladder for 2 minutes straight, into something long? Yeah, it's really long. And it turns it into something epic where you don't even mind, you almost hope you don't reach the top of the ladder.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's another good one. My next one is, and we've talked about it on the show before, so I won't go into super, super detailed, but No Russian. That's from
great pick.
Was it Modern Warfare 2?
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first time I played, and I played it multiple times. The first time I played, I didn't actually shoot anybody. I do remember it distinctly.
What?
I do remember it distinctly.
The only reason I didn't include that on mine is because you heard so much about it before the game even came out that it took a little bit of the impact away.
Sure.
Yeah, that's true. Because and I think you could switch it off or something like that. Or not switch it off. You could just choose not to shoot.
Yeah, you could choose just not to do it, which is what I did. I do remember going back through a second time.
I remember I laid into this.
Oh, yeah. I was fragging him. I was like, all right, man.
Let's do it.
But yeah, I mean, I
can't blow my cover.
I mean, it was controversial for that reason. It's just Call of Duty was always, and video games in general was always, with the exception of maybe Grand Theft Auto, it was the only people you're supposed to kill are the bad guys.
Right.
And so here are these innocent people in an airport.
And it was right after 9/11.
Yeah, and it was just yeah, and so
not right after, but it was close enough.
9/11.
It was still fresh in the minds.
And so to be able to just let loose
in an airport,
no less,
right?
It was very.
It was fun though. Because I mean,
psychopath.
It's there for a reason. Nothing.
No, I know.
Because don't lie, there's always a little part of anybody who's ever played a video game where you just want to just kill the innocent NPCs.
That's fair.
I did Oblivion and Skyrim all the time.
Yeah.
What is your next one?
5. Metal Gear Solid 2. Switching to Raiden.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're a Snake throughout the first one. You're Snake throughout the first mission of the second one. Arguably, I think he was our top when we had our badass list. I think he was number 1.
Yeah.
And I didn't play it. I don't think I played it right away. I wasn't the biggest Metal Gear Solid fan, but I know
everything before the game came out only showed Snake.
That's the thing.
Right.
Kojima, man, that was
the cover of Metal Gear Solid 2 showed Snake on the cover.
Right. And I know people were upset.
Very upset.
Could you imagine if the internet was around then?
Oh,
and Twitter and like review
it would have been
bombing
calling for Kojima's head.
He wouldn't have cared.
He really wouldn't.
They were still calling for his head, and he still didn't care.
Right. The game's still badass, and I liked Raiden.
I love Raiden. I think he gets on.
Nobody liked Raiden when it first came out.
did.
When it first
came out, I liked him.
Now Raiden became cool in like 4 and Revengeance.
I liked him in the second
I
man.
don't know if anybody did.
But it's just the fact that you're like couldn't play as Snake, the most
thing.
badass guy.
Yeah, it's not that Raiden was bad necessarily. It's just that nobody played as this iconic.
And that's who
character.
people wanted to play as, and
Fair. That's fair.
you know, it's just.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't tell you if it's a good or bad thing, but it's just memorable.
It is.
You know?
It is
It's
very
just
memorable. That is for sure. What's your next one?
What are we on? 5?
5.
The Mass Effect 2 ending.
Okay.
Oh,
I never played Mass Effect 2. Full disclaimer right now. I watched Sean beat Mass Effect 2.
Okay.
might be my favorite trilogy of
And
all time.
That's great.
just the final battle was epic. Depending on the choices you make, you're losing like teammates and comrades.
Oh
and,
yeah, dude.
Left and right,
Yeah.
dropping like flies, dude.
It's just like it made you feel like you were really in like a battle, like a
Right.
real battle against
The stakes were high.
insurmountable
The
odds.
stakes were high.
Against insurmountable odds and real battle, and you really felt like you were doing something epic. And
Oh, I agree.
I
and
miss,
even just watching it, I was like, man, this is like watching a movie, like
Yeah,
a
it's
cool
very
movie.
cinematic.
It was like very Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones.
you're
a good way to put
you're
it.
invested in like all the characters because you build up the relationships as the game
Right.
goes on. They're like your friends, and-
Lovers, some of them.
Yeah, oh, I had a few.
That's true.
But yeah, I wish BioWare made games like that still.
Well, there was a tease with somebody at BioWare
I don't trust it. Don't
that
even know what
said,
it is.
they didn't call they didn't say Mass Effect specifically, but fuck, what was the quote?
I want them to release another Dragon
A
Age.
big
They are. We're working on Dragon Age 4.
AAA something. Basically, all the signs pointed to a new Mass Effect,
Okay.
whether it's a spiritual successor or a reboot or something.
I think they should move on from Mass Effect, and if they go sci-fi again, that's cool. But I leave
It's
Mass
like a
Effect alone.
spiritual successor.
Right. But yeah, there are heavy rumors that the next game they do is Dragon Age 4.
Yeah, I heard the trouble, like the development's like been all troubled and like,
I love the Dragon Age games.
and me too. And I loved Inquisition. I just the way that they work with EA to implement all that we've talked about it, like microtransactions. I just want a pure RPG from BioWare. That's all.
I feel like if it's done right, and it could like start to take over like Elder Scrolls' position as like Western RPG in that genre,
Right.
because I love the Dragon Age games.
Yeah, me too. Except for 2.
My next
2 was
one
alright.
is one we've already talked about, so I won't get too detailed into it, but was Raiden Metal Gear Solid 2. Yeah, like you guys said, nobody knew that was coming.
No,
Same-
we didn't even know who the hell. Like we're like, who's this guy? All right,
And the thing is, he comes in with his scuba gear and his scuba
Right.
mask on, and he calls himself Snake.
Right. But even more than that, and I didn't put it on the list, but we'll talk about it since we're here, is really the ending of Metal Gear Solid 2.
I was just thinking that, like, when you find out that they're riding through this Solid Snake simulation,
Yeah, right.
and then you start to really realize that 2 and 1 were like pretty much the exact same.
And nobody put it together.
Yeah.
Nobody put it together until they spelled it out for us.
like, oh,
You did come up, underwater like Snake did in the first one, and sneak through and have to wait for an elevator to come
Right.
down, and
Well, yeah, you think like
you fight this like super
What was it?
terrorist group.
What was it? I can't remember the boss's name in the second one.
What
Fortune?
Solidus?
No, Fortune
who you
and
can't kill.
Vulcan, Raven, who were they had the big guns,
Yeah.
and literally it's like mirrored, like 100% of the way, and nobody knew. Nobody
put
knew.
it together. I
until-
don't think there was one person on the planet that was like,
No.
this is the exact same. We've done this.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, like it was always like in the back of your mind, like this is how like like the very beginning of like Raiden's mission in the beginning of the first one. Like, you know, they're very familiar.
Right.
All right. What's your next one?
What are we on? Four. The D-Day Assault, Medal of Honor Allied Assault.
All right.
This was right on the heels of Saving Private Ryan, and to be able to, first off, that movie like changed war movies. You know,
one of my favorite movies of all time.
From like this kind of like glorious
to realistic and
like
gritty and sad,
and emotional, and everybody kind of like.
After watching the opening scene to that, everybody wanted to storm the beaches of Normandy.
Right.
Come on.
In a video game.
Yeah, in a video game.
Okay. I was like, this is great.
Not really.
But yeah, I think that was the first game where you could storm Normandy, storm the beaches, and yeah, I mean the graphics sucked at the time. No, but it was very atmospheric. It was gray. I remember playing it. It took a lot, and I don't remember if Steven Spielberg consulted on that, but I think maybe he possibly did.
Or they just straight ripped stuff from Saving Private Ryan.
It was very cool. It was very cool. I miss the old metal.
I remember playing that on our old Mitsubishi like projection TV. It was like a 65-inch projection TV. I remember playing it on that.
Yeah, we burnt that thing out to it. You could barely see the picture.
Yeah, but by the time we got rid of it, it was
the bulb.
Go on. We went through like 3 bulbs, and like the last one was like on its last like little watt. It was like a 1 watt TV at that point.
Yeah, it was awful. Yeah, I love. That's why I liked Call of Duty World War II, because they got to storm Normandy again. I love that stuff.
Although I was upset that they left out the Pacific Theater in World War II.
Yeah, I would have liked to see that. Yeah.
They had it in World Outlaw.
That might be the last World War II game we get for a while. So.
Yeah,
and I love fighting in that time period.
All right, what's your next one?
What are we on? 4?
4.
In a similar vein of what we were talking about before, Metal Gear Solid 4, Raiden's reveal.
Yeah. Okay. Raiden the badass.
He did it to appease everybody who hated Raiden.
He really did. It was just fantastic.
It was awesome. Just to see him as the new cyborg ninja, a trope of Metal Gear Solid.
Right.
And he's a badass fighting all these like little Metal Gear type machines and fighting Vamp from who he fought in the second one. And like Snake, because I mean, he revealed it in like one of the reveal trailers, but like when you get to there in the game and it's like Snake is cornered by all these machines and Vamp is like twirling down the street like Vamp does, like spinning in circles, and you're like, oh, this is bad. This is really bad. And then Raiden just comes, like jumps over a building and starts taking them all on by himself, all the machines and Vamp at the same time.
Yeah, he definitely turned into a badass. And I played a little bit of Revengeance, and yeah, he's just a badass. I don't know what to say.
All right, my next one is from the original BioShock, Would You Kindly? So
that's a great.
It really is. It was basically like you were not. It wasn't mind control, but I mean,
you were being led.
You were being led with that phrase, "Would you kindly?" And so yeah, like I don't know what to say beside what that hasn't already been said, but the way that they did with Infinite before, the way that Irrational and Ken Levine really took this.
Are they still around?
No, I think Irrational might be, but he's not there. He left to found his own studio. Yeah, I don't know if Irrational's there. I think they are, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, so I mean, like the ending is, it just pulled the rug out from under you. It just made you really question everything that you had done.
What the fuck did I just do for this guy, man?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and so it's just like, it makes you question everything that you had done up until that point and paints your character and what you've been doing in a completely different light. And it was just fantastic.
My number 3, No Russian Mission.
Okay.
Nothing like blasting some civilians in a video game context.
You don't want to get in trouble for it, especially nowadays.
I don't want to get fucking FBI's gonna be blowing down the door. But yeah, it's you know,
it really was memorable. There was nothing else
memorable. Not even just in video games, kind of like the zeitgeist.
Not even pop culture. What's the word?
It's like
just news. Everybody was talking about it.
You know,
everybody was talking about it. Yeah.
My number 3, we already talked about it. Getting the Master Sword in Ocarina of Time.
Okay.
Man, I love some Zelda, and I can't wait for the next one. There hasn't been the next one is Link's Awakening, but I mean like the
Breath of the Wild sequel.
Yeah, the next big one, and God, I need to beat Breath of the Wild. I got so caught up in doing all the extra stuff, man. I was like 50 hours in or something.
Yeah,
it's
so
huge.
Good.
It's a huge game. You need to play it. I know you have some kind of grudge against it.
they have the Nintendo bias.
No.
But no.
I'd say Nintendo's probably one of the best developers.
Yeah, I think
they are a great developer.
They've earned their bias,
right?
Yeah.
If you want to call it bias.
Right.
But it's really not, because Breath of the Wild is that great.
Yeah. It's one of my top 10 favorite games.
My number 3 is the beginning of Last of Us. The only thing that I'll add to that is that it really resonated with me in a different way, only because at that time when it came out, 2013,
something like that.
Ella was born.
Yeah.
And I thought about it in a completely different way.
Yeah.
And it was just like, fuck.
Right.
Because the way that the performances were captured,
so realistic,
and the way that like he was holding her, and the way that she was like
the voice acting,
she was like gasping for air,
right.
and he was like trying to tell her it was okay. I was like, fuck me, like I'm not
so emotional.
I am not ready for this at all. Yeah. And so yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that I'll add, is that it really connected with me in a different way, just because of my personal situation at that point. But yeah, fantastic. I'll never forget it.
Number 2, Master Chief jumping to Earth at the end of Halo 2.
All right. So
Halo 2 was the biggest game in the world when it came out. It was like how Call of Duty is
bar
now.
none.
Maybe even bigger than that. Until like the Modern Warfares came out, Halo was the biggest games in the world by far.
Well, Halo 3, the launch of Halo 3 was the most hyped because of, the multiplayer for sure, but because of the ending, the ending of of Halo 2,
like we thought that he was going to be jumping to Earth and we were going to get to finish the fight.
He was barely on Earth for he was like on there for like a mission,
right? And then he went back out and was fighting the flood and shit. And yeah, you want to get back. You want to fight on Earth, and then it just cuts to black. He jumps out, cuts to black. And
talk about a cliffhanger. Talk about the giant fucking cliffhanger.
Probably the biggest cliffhanger that I've ever played, because I don't think that any game I played has always had some kind of resolution at the end. I'm thinking on the spot, but yeah, that one's just kind of straight. You're done.
Yeah.
And you got to wait for the next one. God, what a pain in the ass.
What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Red Dead Redemption's ending, the original.
Spoiler.
Yep. Big spoiler. It's very epic. He sends his kid and his wife out through the back, and then opens up the door to a whole bunch of
like 20 goons.
I know,
the Vanderlyn gang.
Yeah,
and then you can try to dead eye them all.
Everybody tries to dead eye them,
but you get off like 2 shots and then you just get gunned down. And the thing was, like, the whole premise was, if you hunt down your old gang, we'll let you go. Like, hands are washed. We'll leave you be. And then you do it, and then they all come storming your ranch.
It's like you can't outrun your sins.
Yeah, because they all come storming your ranch. You're fighting at your house, like on your deck, like you and Uncle and all them. And then
that was great.
Did you play the epilogue for Red Dead 2? It makes it so much cooler because we play as John Marston.
Oh yeah.
And you build the house that's in the first one.
Yeah, so it just kind of
features hope, and
you figure out where everybody went and what happened to them in between the second and the first one.
Yeah,
how Uncle came to live with John and all that.
Yeah.
Now, as great as the second one is, the first one's still my favorite.
I think just because it was not that we hadn't seen open world games, but
It was a Western open world game.
but it was the first Western open world game.
And it was Rockstar.
That
Yeah,
was-
it was just like it was like a
Theft
Western
Auto,
Grand Theft Auto, which
production value and scope, but in this time period that really games for whatever reason haven't really explored before.
Yeah, but it was just like you think John's gonna live, and then they come calling.
You hold out hope that he's gonna get away.
They come calling, then you bust out, and you're like, you know what? Maybe I can shoot all these guys before they shoot me, and no matter what you do, you just get riddled
I'm
with
wondering
bullets.
if they'll make a third one. Because
sure
the time period is coming up to like modern age. I think they would have to go back even further.
Maybe they could do like
Or just something-
Dutch's childhood, how he became the leader of the Vanderlyn gang.
Yeah, because
Or
the
maybe
franchise is too big to not make another
Oh,
one.
100%.
It's one of their biggest money makers. It's just, I was thinking about the other day, like when would it even take?
I would
Could do,
like to see
like when the gang starts with like Hosea and
I don't
Arthur
even know
and
if
all them are young.
I don't even know if I would like.
A continuation of that gang.
Well, not even. Yeah, well, with some loose ties, but I would like to see it move forward a little bit. Maybe something like, but it's like, it's not. It wouldn't be a Western at that point, but something like, fuck, I don't know, like Prohibition or
Right.
the Dust Bowl, and have it tie in somehow.
Great Depression or
Great
something.
Depression, something like that.
Like with all those like gangsters and
Yeah,
stuff.
something like that. But then you kind of like start creeping on like Grand Theft Auto territory.
Right, mafia territory.
Yeah, so I don't know if they would do that. They could go back even further. It'd be interesting to see. They would have to do something with that.
Yeah.
After
They're thinking it up as we speak.
Grand Theft Auto 6 or whatever.
Right.
My number 2 is probably your number 1.
Oh,
is
for sure.
Sephiroth killing Aerith, depending on what part of the world you're from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what hasn't been said about this? Nobody saw it coming. Nobody.
It's so sad.
You don't kill off your main character a third of the way through the game. It just didn't. It doesn't
She
happen.
was so innocent.
It doesn't
I know,
happen. And especially that one. Which reminds me, kind of pivoting away for a second, I would have loved to have seen, same with The Last of Us, same with Final Fantasy VIII, I would have loved to have seen those main characters like die and just be done. Like when Squall gets impaled at the end of the first disc.
Right, yeah.
And just wake up and he's gone.
Yeah.
And it's just like you don't get him back. Mm-hmm. And then same with The Last of Us where I can't even think of his name. Joel, he falls and the rebar goes through his like stomach.
Yeah, I remember.
I would have loved to have seen him just at that point. Just he was done.
Right.
Like Game of Thrones it.
Yeah, and just like kill your main character
Right.
third of the way through and just deal with it.
But yeah.
But this game, yeah, I mean,
after he comes down and stabs her, like, and then her theme starts playing, and
Right.
And then the boss battle,
and then
and
her
then-
theme's playing through the boss battle, and then you're just like, what?
You're just like crying, like lightning 3.
yeah,
Potion.
he did it. Please use Aqualung.
but yeah, I mean, it really was memorable, and it was so memorable, and it was such a touchstone of video games that to this day,
Even if people don't know anything about Final Fantasy or Final Fantasy VII, they know about that moment.
yeah,
Right.
it's just like people.
It's a pop culture iconic.
You hear like the Game Genie cheats where you can bring her back, and like
I wish that was so true.
I've
shit, like-
seen like speedrunners glitch the game and
Have you?
have her like in their final party and stuff.
have you? Okay,
And
But-
there's all that like continuity errors in there where he's falling and he has gloves on, and then they switch to another
Right.
camera angle, he has gloves off, and then he like
Right.
stabs her and he has the gloves on
Yeah.
again, but still just a great moment.
it really was.
I can't wait to see it in the remake. Oh.
Yeah, it'll be cool. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be just by the virtue that it's a brand new engine. It's new. It'll be a little more graphic, but I don't. I don't expect it.
I want to see bowels spilling
Jesus
out.
Christ. All right, what's your number 1?
Air's time.
All right.
Mine as well.
Okay. So that was yours. I didn't know if that was going to be your number 1.
Oh yeah,
So
for sure.
10, so
I think I bawled my eyes out when I first seen it.
Yeah,
I was
so
like
sad.
7 or something.
When her music's playing during the boss battle.
right.
They have to keep that. I
yeah.
hope they keep that. Like,
If it's not playing during the boss battle, I'll turn off the game.
yeah,
No, I won't.
refund.
My number 1 Psycho Mantis.
Oh, I forgot. That was the pick because I was playing Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot that, but yes, I would have included that on mine.
My pick for number 1 is Psycho Mantis. I remember playing this with Leo, and like I can't even describe how
there's just so many great moments, like
how outside of the box this boss fight was.
Kojima, he thinks on a different level than everybody
it was just like
when I first played it, he talked to me Psycho Mantis, and he's like, "You play Suikoden, don't you?"
Yeah.
And at the time, I had no idea how. I was like, "This fucker's reading my mind," and that's such an obscure JRPG.
It was like right after like the vibration was like introduced in controllers and stuff, like in every single controller, not just like a rumble pack and N64. And he says, "I'll move your controller, set it on the ground." It's just outside of the box thinking.
Yeah, and so there was that. There was he would read your.
It took me years to realize that he was just reading the memory card. I had no idea.
I remember the first time I played, it took me forever to realize that you needed to switch your controller.
So you had to switch your controller port to the second.
Yeah.
Because he would read your mind and he would know how to dodge. And so the only way to get around that is you had to switch to the second controller port. But before that, he would read your memory card, and any Konami games that happened to be on there, he would read the name of them off to you.
Right.
Then you had the little where it looked like he changed the channel.
Oh, yeah.
Where it said like Hideo in the corner. And so it looked like somebody had like changed the channel on you, or you sat on the remote.
And even in the background, the portraits on the office wall, one of them was of Kojima and the other developers. And like, and then they start like laughing, like the faces start like moving and stuff.
That's crazy.
And so, I mean, you don't even really see that now. The way he thought outside of the box then.
Even the stuff like, you need to find the frequency number to contact Meryl, and it's on the back of the CD case, and then like it's literally on the back of the CD case, like a game case.
Which really sucked if you rented the game. You know what I mean? Like if you rented the game and you didn't have that, you were kind of stuck.
Yeah, that was what we were thinking of earlier. I had a big moment that I was thinking of before we started, and I couldn't recall what it was, but that's what it was. It's Psycho Mantis.
Number 1 is Psycho Mantis. All right, I'm going to tally this up, put our top 10 list together. You guys fill some time.
Ooh. Okay, like I was talking about, probably one of the best games that I've played in the last 3 years, because we just got Microsoft Game Pass, is Ori and the Blind Forest. And Chase watched me play that too. And I wish you could play it. One of these days, I might bring over the Xbox, and you could probably beat it in a night if you really wanted to. It's like do you even know anything about it? No. It's like a Metroidvania type game. So, you got to explore and, open up new paths when you get new abilities.
Right.
But the story, I wasn't expecting that story. Chase knows what I'm talking about.
With the owl?
Everything. Just the whole storyline from beginning to end. It's... Actually, now that I think about it, I kind of want to put that on my... supplement that. But I'm not going to. But one of my top 10 moments is probably if you played Ori and the Blind Forest, it's in that game. 3. There's a lot of games. I just started playing Gears 5. And I'm like 3 or 4 missions into it. That's a really solid game. Very smooth, 60 frames per second. Like no matter what. I think it drops a little bit when the battles get big. But, that's another great game. I want to do a Let's Play of Blair Witch, which will probably be coming out soon. And just getting everything set up.
Yeah. That'll definitely be on the list.
Yeah. I don't know. That's all I've been playing. A little Metal Gear Solid 5 here and there. Mostly Gears since it came out. Ori. Beat that in a couple days.
Yeah, I've mostly been playing 8.
Final Fantasy 8 on the Switch.
Some Apex Legends.
Yeah. I want to play.
That game's not multi-platform or like cross-play, is it? Apex.
I don't think so.
I don't think there's crossplay on it now.
That'd be cool. I can't wait for Modern Warfare because then we can all play together.
That's the thing.
Just run lobbies.
Modern Warfare is so close that it's just like I'm just like
But we're just biding time till it comes out.
I'm just like F Black Ops 4. I'm done with it. It's a mess. It's such a mess.
It's the worst Call of Duty game
It's just such a mess.
And I was telling Josh earlier, I think it's the worst Call of Duty game ever released, and it's the one that I've been chasing, put the most time into.
It's a mess.
Like Prestige, like 650, I think, and Chase is like 400.
I'm like 550 or something.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I hate that game.
Yeah, it's such a mess.
Buggy ass mess.
All right. We have tallied.
I hate it.
Just thinking about it is like making my blood pressure rise.
We have tallied the definitive top 10 most memorable moments in video games. I'll read it in ascending order. Number 10.
Descending, right?
Descending order. 10 to 1. Is that ascending?
That's ascending.
Yeah, because you'd be going up. Right?
Okay.
Number 10.
So.
D-Day Assault. Which one was that? Allied Assault. That was from a
Medal of Honor.
Medal of Honor Allied Assault. Number 9. The reveal of Raiden in Metal Gear Solid 4.
Ooh, buddy.
Number 8.
It's good.
The ending of BioShock Would You Rather.
Ooh.
Number 7. The ending of Halo 2. The cliffhanger. Number 6. The ending of Red Dead Redemption.
Ooh, buddy.
The end of John Marston.
That sucks.
It hurts.
Number 5. The boss fight with Psycho Mantis from the original Metal Gear Solid. Number 4 is pulling the Master Sword from the Legend of Zelda series.
Any of the games.
But specifically Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
Number 3, the Metal Gear Solid 2 switch from Snake to Raiden at the beginning of the Shell.
Greatest bait and switch in video game history.
Really was.
I mean, he was a little.
No, I would
he's
say
a little,
Anthem was the greatest thing.
Yeah, right.
but he was a little like whiny, but like I still like Raiden in the original Metal Gear Solid 2.
Number 2 was No Russian from Modern Warfare 2. And number 1, no surprise, is the death of Aerith in Final Fantasy 7.
I think that's a solid list.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good about this one.
I think that's a solid list right there.
Yeah, I agree. So,
You know what? If you don't like it, we don't care.
I mean, I care a little bit.
I don't.
I mean, it's our list. I don't care that you disagree.
Right.
I do
would
want
like
your
to hear-
feedback
I would
and
like to
opinion.
hear what other people's
Yeah.
lists are.
Just don't go.
Yeah. So, I mean, put your own list. Tweet at me. I always put out tweets ahead of time about what we're recording.
Yeah, this is our list.
Start putting your list in. I'll be happy to read it on the show. Next week, actually, while we're at it, what do you guys want to do next week?
Well, since you said it's either developers or I was thinking franchises that should be revived.
Ooh,
Oh yeah,
I like
let's
that
do that.
one.
That's
Let's
what I
do
was
that
thinking.
one. So when you say revived, what's the
They haven't
parameters?
released a game in 5
Just
years.
something that they haven't
5
like that
years,
franchise.
and there's no news or rumors that it's going to be coming back anytime soon.
okay?
Like, I'll give you one of mine as an example. That's going to be on the list is Dark Cloud. You remember Dark Cloud on
remember
PS2?
Dark Cloud.
I wish that game would come back because I loved it. So
Okay.
something like that.
Okay, sounds good. So next week it'll be video game franchises that are in need of a revival. So tweet at me, maybe leave it in the comment of this video.
And that can include like a reboot, a sequel, or anything.
Okay, that sounds good. I like it. Yeah, that's actually a really good one. I like that a lot. So yeah, guys, like I said, if you found this entertaining, informative, all that good stuff, give it a thumbs up, tell a friend, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate the love and support. We're hovering right around 125, 126. We'd love to see that go up. Obviously, the higher the better. But yeah, tell a friend, most importantly. We always love and appreciate your guys' support. Do you guys have anything to finish it off with?
No, I want people to say what their own lists are, and we can compare it to our lists. We'll read them
Yeah,
out. And,
like I said, we'll read it we'll compare, contrast, we'll read it on the show.
right.
Happy to do that.
Tell you why moments should be on your list and see how you like it.
So, all right, guys, that is everything. And until next time, you guys stay safe.